Hey, so I decided to try a video format of me speaking to you all live while I do my makeup for the day. I'm just gonna head out quickly for a quick walk. And yeah, I just thought, why don't I start with gray? Because the gray hair is what started me on this whole YouTube journey. So I thought, let me do a little chat on what prompted me to go gray and what are the pros and cons of going gray, and maybe it might help someone if they're at that crossroads to make the decision about whether they should stop dyeing their hair and go gray or continue dyeing their hair. No, there's no right or wrong. It's just however you feel. So, yeah, let's start this journey. So, I started going gray relatively early, I guess you could say. I was in my early 30s when I started noticing grays, and yeah, I didn't like it, of course. But I do know people that started going gray in their early 20s. So it's not really that uncommon for people to start going gray earlier. And of course, I started dyeing right away. But before, I used to be more adventurous with my hair. So I was cutting my hair. I was dyeing my hair. I've had all kinds of colors: blonde, chocolate brown, um, gold, light brown, all the different shades. I was dyeing my hair. The only thing I didn't get into was, I guess, like the really colorful side, like the purples and the reds and the greens. But I was dyeing my hair. I was spending probably, and I was texturizing it. So I was spending about, I would say, 200 every 6 weeks on my hair, coloring, cutting, 200 plus products, and then if there's different tools, yeah. So um, I noticed with the gray, the coloring process is kind of what stopped me from doing colors, because if I wanted the darker, I like a color like a that's not my natural color, I would have to like lighten the darkest bits but then darken the gray, and it became a whole process. And yeah, I just wasn't down for that, and yeah, it was costing a lot of money. So um even going back a little bit further, I always kind of had a love-hate relationship with my hair. It was a lot of hair for us, very skinny kid. And when you go to school, you see people with hair that's different to yours, and you kind of long for it. So my curly thick hair, I wanted long silky straight hair. And I mean, back in the day, there weren't straightening irons. It was just the hot comb. And my mother had to wield that. And who had time to be hot combing their little child's hair? And like I said, it was like a lot of hair, usually in two big braids. And yeah, so I didn't really like my hair. It started at around maybe my teens when my mother let me relax it. Then I even had Jerry curl. Then it was the heat and all of that stuff I know most of us have been through. And I went through that whole process. So started going gray. And then I kind of, well, I had a store and I didn't have a lot of money, so I had to start doing my own hair. So I would do the home dye kit, and yeah, that just meant a whole like section of the weekend when it was dye week, papering the bathroom walls, like a whole hour and change process. By then I was wearing my hair natural, so I um, did had the whole natural process to deal with as well as the dye process. So it was a lot of work, a lot of um, headache, I guess you could say, time consuming, not fun. And also when you see the how the home job turns out, like I look at people now And I'm not judging because I've been there, but I see people with dye job hair coloring, and you can see like where it's like a light brown, a dark brown, then they're black, and then some grays are peeking through. And it is really hard to do your hair um as a home dye job and get like even natural coloring. So that was yet another reason why, yeah, it just wasn't for me. But I guess the real kicker, I guess, and the thing that kicked us all was COVID. Being locked up in the house, can't without access to, like, I mean, there was the Shoppers Drug Mart dye, but I didn't use those dyes. I used something that I got at the local beauty supply store, and I couldn't get to it. Right, beauty supplies were not considered essential, so my hair started to go gray. And had to do the Zoom calls at work, so that meant a whole bunch of bandeaus and scarves. But at least with a bandeau or a scarf, I could hide because my gray kept coming in mostly in the front, so I could just bandeau the front, right? Um, and it it really kind of took a toll. I mean, I saw other people going through the same thing. Either they were going gray on camera, or wearing all the different hats and hoods and stuff like that. So it kind of takes a toll because I work in an environment with a lot of younger people. So you think about, how will this be perceived? Um, will they think, oh, the old person at work? Am I ready to embrace the old? I know I'm older, and I think I'm privileged to have the opportunity to grow old, because a lot of people don't. I all of those things came into play. But it was interesting. It was my boyfriend who was the one who kind of encouraged me, and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing with all this, paper?" And like when he saw me before COVID, doing my home dye job, and he was like, "You'll look great. You'll look great with gray hair. Your hair is fabulous. You're a pretty woman." So I kind of took his advice. He's probably going to be glowing when he hears this, but yeah, I took his advice, and I decided to let the process take its course. And after yeah, just letting the hair start to do its thing, let nature take its course, literally, I started when we could finally, we were out of lockdown and we could get out on the streets. And you have to get out there. You can't be wearing a scarf, or I guess you could, but I don't really typically wear things on my head because I tend to get headaches. Like any kind of clip or pull up or ponytails, my hair just does not like, never has, even as a child. So um I started to go on the street, and it was really strangers, other people who were in the same predicament, whether they should grow gray or not, that they encouraged me by the compliments and the questions. And what products do you use? Oh my god, I want to do this as myself, but I'm not sure if I'm ready. And it was that led me on this YouTube journey, um, to talk about hair and clothes, because yeah, it's all kind of part and parcel, right? You have to kind of adjust everything around. Your makeup even has to be slightly different when you have a different hair color. But yeah, it was really um interesting just to see how it was received. And even at work, I must say, I do get the compliments. I do feel like I stand out. I'm in that generation, that next year, like the lifer, or that generation that's been there a while at work. But you know what, that's okay. I don't think I think people who um, stop and are thoughtful about their comments realize that, you know what, I'm not, um, I don't want to say I'm not that old to make it sound like I'm still trying to cling to youth. But you know, there's like the middle age, old age, young. So I guess, I mean, I would be considered middle age, right? I mean, I'm 54. I'm not, you know, ready to just go to the nursing home just yet. So yeah, people do ask me when I get on the train. I think it's cute. Sometimes you'll see people like flying up. Oh, do you want a seat when I'm on the subway? And it's like, I don't really need it, but you know, if I'm in the mood, sometimes I play along. Yeah, I will take that seat. Totally don't need it, but you know, hey, depends on my mood, right? So there's fun aspects like that. And yeah, it's interesting because I heard someone on an interview, I think it was Tilda Swinton, on an interview saying she's shy as an actress and she doesn't like being singled out. And I realized that I have that same I have those same traits. I'm more quiet. Never thought I'd be doing this with a YouTube, and I always thought like something like gray hair or some like certain pieces of clothing would make me stand out. And my coping mechanism has more been in life to hold back, so that way you kind of fly under the radar, so you don't stand out and you don't get called out. But I guess after a certain point in time, well, for me, um, I don't care anymore. I'm still on the reserved side, but it doesn't bother me as much to, if someone wants to call me out or someone wants to ask a question or it's me standing out from the rest, I'm ready. So I guess that's the other part to consider if you're considering going gray. Is yeah, you have to be ready to stand out from the crowd, and I don't think it's necessarily in a bad way. If you walk, hold your head up high, walk proud, something my mother always used to say, you walk strong. Um, yeah, it shouldn't be a bad thing. It shouldn't be something to kind of hold you back. And I'll say too, as well, there will be people close to you in your life that aren't really for the gray. They have in their mindset that gray is old and you don't want to look old. Keeping your hair color the way it has been all your life is your way to keep yourself youthful. And yeah, I mean, they'll come on board. If you once they see that it's working for you, they will come on board and support your decision. I mean, either way, it's your head. Do as you please. But yeah. Um, the other thing I would say, another pro about going gray, letting the grays come in, is it kind of shows self acceptance. You are accepting your true whole self rather than, you know, trying to cover up, which either way, like I said, again, it's no judgment. If that's where you are, go for it, you know. But I just find that this allows me to show my true self. It is what it is. I am who I am. I like who I am, who I've turned out to be, and who I'm still evolving to be. Um, so I would say that is yet another pro about letting yourself go gray naturally. So I would say if we had to sum up, in summary, pros and cons of going gray are, I guess, let's start with the cons. Dealing with people's stigma. Sometimes you have to have that conversation, especially with some people in your life that, why would you let yourself go? So dealing with the stigma. And I guess um, gray hair is a little bit coarser than your normal, like your regular hair, your youthful hair. So you do have to kind of adjust to dealing with them, different shampoos, maybe different products for the rest of your head than for the gray hair. Um, so there's that. But really, there aren't too many cons about going gray. I think there's more pros, such as, like I've mentioned before, saving money, saving time, self acceptance. Sometimes getting a seat on the subway when you don't really need it, but hey, maybe even some of y'all might get that senior's discount a little earlier. Hey, if you're gonna um, go for it, might as well go all the way. And yeah, I'm glad I made the choice. I don't think I'll ever go back to dyeing my hair. I'll say never, because who knows? Maybe one day I'll be like, you know what? Let me try a little brown now. Who knows? But yeah, I hope this helps for people who are considering making the journey. And it is a journey. Don't despair. If you're in that halfway phase, is, I think, the toughest bit, because really there's no bando that's gonna hide when the gray is here and then your natural hair color is here. There's no bando to hide that. So then you have to go, if you really want to make the transition without anyone seeing, then it really is a hat or a turban or something. And I know for hairdressers can kind of, if you still want to kind of blend it down, you can go lighter, like go with blonde or light brown, and kind of blend in the gray as much as possible, and just keep going lighter and lighter and lighter until you get there. So there still is an option. It's not like you just have to go cold turkey and start the journey. But it is a process. It has been interesting. It has been fun. Leads to new things. You really see people's different perspective, and wouldn't change a thing. Wouldn't change a thing. So hope that helps. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. And until the next video, take care.